Married people of Reddit, how did you know your spouse was the one? It's really something silly, and it was only one of many things that lead to the realization. I had slept in and missed saying goodbye when he left for work. I called to tell him to have a good day and to tease him about not giving me a goodbye kiss. 10 minutes later, he walked through the door, gave me a kiss, and then left for work again. He was always doing sweet and playful things like that, and in that moment I realized I didn't want anyone else. Within weeks we were engaged, and 5 months later we were married. We celebrated 14 years last month. Because it was easy from the start, no games, no wondering if he'd call. He always did. And he made me laugh. 10 years on, still making me laugh every day. We had hung out with another friend a couple of times. I made plans to visit the friend, and friend recommended that I invite now wife to come along since she lived near me. After driving for 7 hours each way and having fun conversations the whole time, I was pretty sure we should be together. Still together 35 years and married for 30. Easiest relationship I've ever had, and was from the first date. I knew by the time we ordered dessert on that date we'd probably get married. No drama or second-guessing anything. Happily married for 13 years, and it's still easy. He told me, loving you is easy. Why that really gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling. Maybe cause no else said it to me. I was standing in the grocery store in 2014 and made a chicken noise. He made a chicken noise back. True love. I've always felt when I began loving her for what she wasn't. I fell in love with her faults and realized that we balanced each other. She loved me for me, and I'd never had that before. First night I met her, she was a friend of a friend, and neither of us was looking for a partner at the time. Much later in the evening, I saw her dancing on her own, and like really going for it as well. She just stood out so much, compared to all the other girls on the dance floor, and I just thought, yep, she's the one for me. We've been together 18 years this year, 11 married, and have a teenage daughter now. I posted this a while back, but it's a good story. We had only been dating for 3 months, so still some awkwardness here and there. I was working an outrageous amount, and I got phone call that one of my very good friends had just died in a car accident. I don't really remember walking there, but instead of my apartment, I ended up at hers. She opened the door to her new boyfriend, half ugly, sobbing. Instead of being, rightly, weirded out, she listened and cried with me for a couple hours. The friend who died was the one who had encouraged me, for like 6 months, to ask my now wife out. My friend never knew the impact she had. My wife and I have been married for 15 years now. I started sleeping a lot more than usual, which was weird for me because I'm usually an insomniac. I'd sleep all night and then take a 4-hour nap during the day. This happened most days unless I was working. I finally realized I was catching up on lost sleep because I felt safe and loved at home after not having that for years. Now, I don't sleep as much, so I think I'm mostly caught up, and there are no health problems. He was the funniest guy in every room, and I knew his heart was as big as his humor. He made me feel the safest I ever had. To this day, I still crush out on the guy. She never made me feel like I had to put on a show to be someone I'm not. I'm very introverted, but can muster enough confidence to be outgoing if I need to be. She just lets me be myself. I know it's normal for most healthy relationships, but we can just be goofballs together, but also take care of the serious business when the time calls for it. Prior to my now wife, most relationships seem to be lacking that balance. This was when we were friends, before we even started dating. My sister attempted, ended up in hospital, just before her birthday. Obviously, it was a really difficult time for her, and for all of us. He specifically bought her a board game so that we could spend time playing it together as a family. I met and married my wife in less than 4 months. I knew she was the one for me because I had never met a more loving, caring, and empathetic person in my life. Her sense of humor, personality, life outlook, and goals all meshed with mine. We have been married almost 40 years. Best thing that has ever happened to me. It can happen. I'd never met anyone like him. We just clicked immediately, same values and sense of humor. He completely accepted me as I am and became my best friend in a week. Together 9 years. Everyone else I would become repulsed by after a few months. LOL. I had some pretty deep-rooted trauma and friend-zoned him for 10 years, and he just waited for me. I genuinely enjoyed his company, and I realized I had the perfect guy right under my nose the entire time and initiated us dating, but was very traumatized, so our sex life was pretty much non-existent. He would just sit there with me and let me be. He made me feel safe, and that's when I knew he was the one. He made pigeon noises at me over the capsicums, peppers, in the supermarket. We'd been together 3 months. We were 17 and 18 at the time. We're now 42 and 43, and he'll still make random bird noises at me sometimes. One of our teens joins in sometimes. The other is more likely to meow at us from across the room. It encapsulated the fact that he didn't care what other people thought, just that he wanted to make me smile. Also, we now know that it's because we've both got ADHD and we bounce off each other. When I saw that he could handle my crazy and instead of combating me, calmed me down and made me feel at ease, that's when I knew. This man is a keeper, and he really cares about me, and not about winning some stupid fight. Also, the way he worships and looks after me. Coffee made every morning, tells me he loves me every day, call me beautiful all the time, even when I feel the ugliest, and takes moments to appreciate the love he has for me. No matter where we are, middle of a grocery store, when we're driving, or if we're cooking dinner together. I love my husband. I am so incredibly lucky to find him. 98% of the time we have our ups, and 2% we have our downs. When we do have our downs, we like to discuss the problem together and figure out a way so this issue doesn't happen again, and it makes us stronger as a couple. Our relationship from the beginning felt like a strong, flowing river. It felt so natural with few bumpy rocks here and there. Your gut feeling will know, winky face. Source: high school sweethearts, 2 years married, 12 years dating equals 14 years of friendship. Smiley face. I had no anxiety being around her or speaking to her. I could be myself completely, and everything just felt right. Truly an amazing feeling. Sundays. My favorite day of the week with her. Whether it was sitting quietly with books or running mundane errands to prep for the coming week, the test, for me at least, was how happily we spent our Sundays. Friday and Saturday nights are easy. But if you can consistently spend a good Sunday with someone, you have a keeper. When I yelled out, "Hey, you want to go get some fried chicken and catch a flick?" from across the room at a college party, and she instantly started walking towards me and yelled out, "Fuck yeah." Been together for 28 years, married 24. After we had been together for 4 years, I asked her to marry me, and she said, "You don't have to marry me. I'd follow you to the ends of the earth anyway." That was reassuring, beaming face with smiling eyes. Some long time later, she told me that after the very first evening we met, she told her grandmother, "I've met the boy I'm going to marry. What other choice did I have?" Everything basically clicked. We got along really well. We met each other's friend groups and all liked each other. We just really wanted to hang out all the time. Also, sex was incredible and very frequent. She was very willing to try things, and the most enthusiastic person I was with. Sure, we loved each other and did not want life without the other, but one discussion nailed it. We decided that we felt really safe around each other and could at the very worst can tolerate the other's habits. Also had some solutions agreed to for certain habits. That night I decided I'd propose and talk to a friend to help me with a ring over the weekend. She later told me it was that same weekend she told her parents, "Yeah, he's the one." Married 11 years now. 2 cats. I was married for 11 years, and it's ended about a year before. I met a new girl and we started dating, and it got more serious. I really liked her but had no intention of ever getting remarried. She took a 2-week trip from California to China. Within a day I missed her. Then I thought of the possibility that she might be in a plane crash, and the idea of never seeing her again devastated me. I then realized I was in love. I knew we had to be together forever. Of course, she made it home okay. We celebrated 22 years of marriage this July and have 3 children. It felt natural and effortless to be with them, and their presence made life better in every way. I knew for sure when my sister died. The amount of consideration and effort he showed was outstanding, and sitting next to him at the funeral I knew that would be the end of us too. One of us would die. It's been 18 years now. We're going strong. Too many fucking deaths though. I feel a little cursed. It was such a small, random moment, We had only been dating a couple of weeks, and we were driving to see a movie. He said something that made me laugh and put his hand on my knee, and I just remember looking over at him and having this moment of realization. Being with him was so easy, so fun, and I felt so light and happy. I had this deep feeling of this is right, this is it. A decade and 2 kids later, I still feel that way around him. I knew he was the one when he said, "I wish we could just sing everything," and I had said something similar a few years earlier to my sisters. It just took my breath away. I'd never heard anyone else say anything remotely similar. There were many moments that made me fall in love him, but that one always comes to mind. I knew we were kindred spirits, and I never wanted to be apart from him. We've been together for 13 years and married for 8 years of that. She had health insurance. It's like she was my best friend, the best I ever had. 25 years later, it's still like that every single day. I broke up with her after a year, and within a day I realized that was the biggest mistake I ever did. We are together since we are 18 years old, and we are now 36 years old. If you know, you know. I met my wife on an airplane. We were married 3 months later, coming up on 24 years now. We were both Star Trek fans, so I invited her over to my place to watch it. She replied with, "Will you marry me and be the father of my children?" For months later, I proposed on her birthday. We got married the following year. It's now 37 years and counting, and she still likes me. When being together felt effortless and they supported you through your best and worst moments. I spoke to her on the phone. 15 minutes. 7 green flags. 1 OMG. I knew. It was unmistakable, and I had no doubts. I fought to marry her. Family. The state. People who didn't want us to marry because they thought marriage was a bad idea for everyone. We married anyway. We have been married for 14 years. I still have no doubts. There are people who doubt the institution of marriage. Don't be one of those people. Don't doubt yourself. Just here to read your stories and restore my faith in true love. Smiling face. It was the day I knew I had to go back to my hometown to get a divorce. I mean, not my story, but I'll tell my dad's. My dad was a writer, still is. He would always be going on trips with his bike and his MC buddies. When he met my mom, he didn't know if she was gonna like all those long trips and stuff. At the time, they had a small, uncomfortable, and not very fast bike. My dad wanted to go from Sao Paulo to Rio de Janeiro, which I would say is from Los Angeles to somewhere in Arizona in distance, with that goofy bike they had, and my mom said she'd do it and actually did it. That day my dad knew she was the one.